Roll call.
Mr. Buckner?
Here.
Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Here.
Mr. Raleigh?
Here.
Mayor Saunders? Mr. Shanks?
Here.
Mr. Vogler?
Here. Mayor Saunders will be here later. He had to be a little late tonight, so I'm starting the meeting. Let's pray. Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, in this holiday season, let us be thankful for all the blessings you have bestowed on us. It is a wonderful, wondrous time to be alive. We can communicate face-to-face across continents. We can produce mass quantities of food that will feed billions. We have medications that will eradicate diseases, treat heart disease, cure cancer. You have placed so many riches on this earth for our benefit. All we have to do is find and discover them. But at the same time, we've invented or manufactured many evil things. We have made toxic gases that can kill hundreds of innocent men, women, and children. Bombs that can level buildings, killing dozens and hundreds of people, can bring down airplanes from the sky. We've invented missiles that can destroy whole cities and kill thousands. Which shall we choose? Starvation or plenty? Weapons or plowshares? Peace or war? Constructive dialogue, or just massacre those who don't agree with our opinion? We must make our choice. We need to strive to better the welfare of all mankind, no matter their color, their religion, their political persuasion. Our time is running out. We will not get many more chances. In the words of Charles Dickens' character, Tiny Tim, God bless us, everyone. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business before we get started here. As you're well aware of, Joe King, our city manager for several years, and utilities director before that, yesterday was his last day. So tonight we need to appoint an interim city manager. You know, we're in the process of a search to look for a full-time city manager, but in the meanwhile, we need to have an interim city manager. Council, what is your pleasure? Mr. Vogler.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution appointing Kenneth F. Larking as interim city manager.
For a second, Mr. Jones. Roll call.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Good. Congratulations, Mr. Larkin.
Very much.
Now we'll have appointments and special recognition. Update from the Danville, Pennsylvania County Community Services. I believe Mr. Bo and Julie Brown's going to talk to us.
Mayor Saunders, Vice Mayor Miller, members of City Council, Mr. Larking, and staff. My name is Julie Brown. I am the chairperson of the Danville, Pennsylvania County Community Services Board of Directors. I'm joined by fellow board members, Dr. Frank Wickers and Gracie Mays. With great pleasure, I present to you our annual report for fiscal year 2015. This year, our annual report theme, Making a Difference, focuses on DPCS as the preferred provider of top quality behavioral health, intellectual disability, and prevention services to the citizens in the city of Danville in Pennsylvania County. The services and supports provided by DPCS are focused upon unlocking each individual's potential for self-determination, empowerment, recovery, resiliency, and health, and the highest possible level of participation in all aspects of community life. The variety and complexity of DPCS's services meet the needs of individuals with a behavioral health disorder, an intellectual disability, and those who may be at risk. Tonight, I would like to tell you about a few select services offered that are making a difference in the lives of individuals residing in the city of Danville and Pennsylvania County. Our services and community engagement are making a difference for the infants, babies, and toddlers of our community in early intervention services. These services are a source of support to parents and provide a full range of appropriate therapies to assist babies with developmental delays or disabilities and their families through their third birthday. Youth Mental Health First Aid training is making a difference in our community. This training course teaches parents, family members, caregivers, teachers, school staff, peers, neighbors, health and human service workers, and other caring citizens how to help an adolescent who is experiencing a mental health or addictions challenge or is in crisis. Youth Mental Health First Aid is primarily designed for adults who regularly interact with young people. To date, more than 58 individuals have been trained. Our services and community engagement continue for anyone in crisis. The Danville, Pennsylvania Crisis Intervention Team, widely known as CIT, was developed in partnership with the 3 local law enforcement agencies and Danville Regional Medical Center, and is making a difference for individuals in crisis. To date, 299 professionals and individuals have received the intensive CIT training. Officers and deputies patrolling our communities now have additional training to ensure effective, safe interventions with individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. An important part of a CIT intervention is having a safe and secure location for individuals in crisis to connect with our services. Our community received an ongoing grant to create a crisis assessment center in the emergency room at Danville Regional Medical Center. The center is staffed by a skilled clinician and a CIT-trained off-duty officer 12 hours each day. Also in fiscal year 2015, DPCS started construction on Mount Herman Manor, a 5-bedroom home for individuals with an intellectual disability. This home, to be completed this month or in January, will be making a difference for 5 individuals so that they may live in a typical suburban home with intermediate care facility level supports to help them manage their more complex medical needs outside of an institutional setting. These are just a few of the approximately 50 unique programs for adults and children operated by DPCS through its behavioral health, intellectual disability, and prevention services divisions. In fiscal year 2015, DPCS directly served 12,772 residents of the city of Danville and Pittsylvania County through 178,188 distinct units of service. In closing, on behalf of our board of directors, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for appointing 7 members from the city of Danville to the Danville, Pennsylvania Community Services Board of Directors. It is our honor and it's our pleasure to serve the community in this capacity. We appreciate your confidence and your ongoing support. Jim Bebo, who is our wonderful executive director, is here with me this evening to assist with any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, Mr. Gilson.
Dr. Brown, how are you this evening?
Well,
I noticed in the handout, thank you by the way, is that you have program areas, then you have city, county, and other. Define other.
Let me take that.
sure, feel that.
When we provide services in the emergency room, when we provided services in the emergency room, Danville Regional serves a large community and a lot of folks trickle over from North Carolina. When we provide discharge planning at the hospitals and the training facilities that are like Central Virginia Training Center in Lynchburg, those individuals technically have a residence outside the city, but when they return to this community, their address changes.
Also, could you, I see a percentage of the source of revenue, and you've got local includes in kind of 4.57%. Can you give us a percent of actual cash, and can you give me a percent of that divided by the city and county?
Off the top of my head right now, no, but I can get you the answer.
So give me a good guess.
The local, you're asking for how much cash comes from the city and how much comes from the
Cash,
county?
not in kind.
Yes, the actual cash amounts are in the high 200s, right at 300 for each, the city and the county. They're very close to being similar.
Okay, thank you.
Other question? Mr. Roth?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for all you do for mental health. It's, we really do appreciate you doing that. Help me understand when I look at revenues for 2015 and I look at expenditures, there's a little less than $600,000 not spent. Is that just a normal carryover amount? It's end of the year? Does that make sense? 18 million in revenue, 17.5
Correct.
in expenses?
When we prepare our budget, like many organizations, we hit the first of the year fully staffed. We plan on being fully staffed and through attrition.
Right.
And in particular, this year, we had the project that we're building, the Mount Herman Manor, and we pulled a lot of money out of savings for that. But because it was not completed in one fiscal year or the other, we had carryover to cover the cost.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mr. Shanks?
You mentioned the intervention program that you have at the hospital.
Correct.
And mentioned the 12-hour shift of a police, off-duty police officer. How is that funded? Is that funded through a grant, or is that funded through your normal operating budget, or how is that?
No, that is funded through a grant. It's come from the Department of Behavioral Health Services.
I'm sorry, the department of what?
The Department of Behavioral Health Services, the state.
Uh-huh.
After the Dietz tragedy a couple of years ago, one of the priorities for the Commonwealth of Virginia was to have a crisis intervention center in every community. And part of having a fully functional, appropriate intervention assessment center is to have off-duty officers so that the road officer can bring the individual in and transfer custody to the off-duty officer, and then that officer can return back to the streets and continue his primary duties.
That sounds like a great idea, a great concept.
It's a phenomenal concept.
Just out of curiosity, it's only 12 hours a day. What 12 hours?
It's 12 noon to 12 midnight. It's based on the primary, the heaviest utilized hours.
Okay. Thank you. That's very good. Appreciate your report this evening.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Mr. Campbell?
I just want to say we thank you for the work and the service that you offer within the community. It's well needed, and we're very thankful. Thank you, Ms. Vice Chair.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Jones?
First, let me start by saying thank you for all you do. We've been reading, I'm sure you read it too, there's a lot of stuff going on with the youth in our community. Have you all seen an increase in assistance for mental health in regards to young people? And how do you work with the school systems, and your staff work with the school systems if they did?
We do. We have an entire prevention division that works heavily with school-age children, and that's where some of those large numbers come from. We have certain programs, drug education and prevention programs, that will touch every middle school kid at some point going through. And so we have a lot of prevention programs that are evidence-based, that have been national standardized and have effective outcome rates, and so we implement those typically with grant money, so they kind of come and go, depends on what the grant makers want to pay for.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Mr. Gilstrap again.
I just want to also say thank you. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Any other comments from council? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is my great pleasure to recognize our counterpart from the Pennsylvania County Board of Supervisors. You'll come forth, Ms. Bowman, former chairperson, and she's going to be retiring. Something about managing a country and western band, among other things. But please go ahead.
I actually do plan to do that.
That's
Plan
what
to
I
spend
heard.
some time in Nashville and help manage the band because they do need some help. Good evening, Vice Mayor Miller and Mayor Saunders, council members, staff. I just wanted to take this opportunity tonight to say goodbye, farewell, but I don't know if this is the norm, if anyone's ever done this before, but I just felt like I'd like to say this tonight and share a few things with you. Try not to get emotional. But I do want to say that I have enjoyed working with all of you for the last 4 years, and I wish you the best as all of you carry on. I just have a few more weeks, counting down the days. Last meeting is December 15th, but I guess technically I'm in until the new ones are sworn in January. But my family, or my husband and I and our daughter, moved here 7 years ago, and I didn't know most of you, very few of you. remembered Mr. Rowley, did know him from times before and had met some others and Mr. Shanks, but did not know most of you. And I feel like that I've made friends. Danville is my home. I actually was born and raised here. I don't know if all of you know that or not, but having been born and raised and left and come back, it has really been special to be a part of many of the ribbon cuttings and the great things happening in Danville, because my heart is in Danville. And when we moved here in '08, my daughter, as you know, became Miss Danville, Pennsylvania County right away, and for several years before I was even on the board, I enjoyed the growth of Danville. At that time, things were booming, and the Coleman Marketplace was coming up, and Lindsay as Miss Danville, Pennsylvania County, and I as a tag-along got to share in the ribbon cuttings for all the new stores, and so it was just exciting for me to be a part of that, to come back home and be a part and see the great things that were happening here, because it is a place that I love, and I've thoroughly enjoyed making the new friends in the city and in the county. I did want to say that I especially have enjoyed the last year, side by side with the mayor, doing ribbon cuttings myself after going through that with Lindsay all those years, but being a part of ribbon cuttings and again enjoying every time that we've been together for everything that's been going on in the city. I also wanted to say that, of course, I will still be around, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not supposed to be spending these last days of our life. I hope I have many more days left, but these years of my life, I didn't think that we would be spending it this way, that my husband and I would be living apart, because we moved here to retire and be apart and give back to the community. So politics changes things quickly, but he's enjoying what he's doing in North Carolina, and I only get to see him on the weekends. But he is headed home tonight. I am having surgery on my hand tomorrow for the second time, and I thought I was going to have to go to Duke tonight and be ready first thing in the morning, and I wanted to come here so bad, and I thought, well, that's my last opportunity. I'm not going to get to do it. Then they called and said my surgery's not until 1:30 tomorrow. So this way I was able to come and see you all, and I'm glad I've had this opportunity. And Ken will be in later tonight, and then we'll go do that tomorrow. Be my last parades. The Danville Parade is this weekend, and the Chatham Parade, and we have a Gretna Parade coming up, so I will miss doing the parades in official capacity, but I'm sure I'll be involved other ways. I think my last river meeting is coming up. So again, I just want to say farewell, but hopefully I'll see you all around at other places, and I will probably be spending a lot of time in North Carolina and Nashville. But if you're ever going out to Nashville, be sure and stay in touch with me on Facebook or text me. I think most of you have my number. I'll tell you where Lindsay's playing, because I'll probably be up on stage with her. So again, thank y'all so much. I've enjoyed being with you and getting to know all of you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ms. Bowman, I just want to say so much for all that you've done. So important with everything that you've done. But one thing that stood out for me was in Danville, this city council supported a youth commission, and then you did the same thing down in Pennsylvania County. And it's so important that both of us working together. Thank you for all that you've done. I don't know who's going to take over it, but I just hope it continues to keep on keeping on.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. I'm real proud of the Youth Commission. They've been in existence for 2 years now, and as a matter of fact, since I'm coming off the board, it is now going to officially be a part of Parks and Rec, which in most localities it does fall under Parks and Rec. I'm not sure if it does it for y'all. Okay, so our Parks and Rec will be taking over the Youth Commission at the end of the year under the direction of Mr. Mark Moore. So I'm excited. As a matter of fact, the Youth Commission is given they did a survey, you probably read about it, earlier this year of all the high school students in the county, and we're going to be giving the results of that survey at the school board meeting next week, and then the supervisor meeting the week after that. So that'll be interesting to be able to report what's on the mind of our young people. So I look forward to that continuing on. And one more quick thing, since Dr. Campbell and Mayor Saunders came in late, I got a picture with everybody else earlier. Can I run over there real quick and get a picture?
Yeah.
It's Madam Chairman.
Oh, come back. Come back.
I just want to say, Madam Chairperson, thank you for your leadership and your service to Pennsylvania County.
Mr. Buckner?
Be sure and have Smoking Guns back at
Yes,
homecoming.
we will.
Isn't that fun?
We will.
Yeah.
Mr. Bowman,
Yes.
thank you for everything. You've been a great asset to Pennsylvania County. Will definitely be missed by many, many, many people there. Thank you for all you've taught me too. I've been your ear a few times, and I appreciate you indulging me there. And don't let us get any kind of reports of you acting up down on Printer's Alley.
I'll try to be good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you so much for your service to Pennsylvania County, to Danville, to our region, and welcome home. I hope you will stay home at some point. If you do leave, that you will often come back and visit. You've done so much for our region. Your energy is amazing. And I'm always amazed also at the number of people that you know. Saturday before last, Verizon, the new Verizon store here in Danville, had their grand opening. You were the first customer. They have a race car inside this store. You knew the race car driver, his parents, grandparents, knew the whole family. So I'm always amazed again at your knowledge, the people that you know, the things that you do, your energy level. You've done so much, and your legacy will continue to stand, exist, never be forgotten in the city, in this region. And thank you so much, and our best to you and your family.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, Chairman. I too would like to say I thoroughly enjoyed working with you over the last 4 years or so. Your commitment and dedication to the community relations and participation with Danville and the city of Danville and Pennsylvania County working together has been tremendous. I have worked with you on the River Board, and I'm proud to have worked with you on the River Board. I think there's a lot yet to come out of that board, and you surely feel the same way. I can't wait for that day. And finally, I'd just like to say, your husband was involved with some of the dealings in economic development that we all worked on together, and I appreciate working with him as well. So thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
And good wishes for the years to come.
Thank you.
Reverend Cap?
I
Yes,
appreciate
I
that.
just want to say briefly, to everyone that's already have said, I think to have the continuation of city and county working together under your administration is strong is so important. And I thank you for your leadership in that. And also, I've had a wonderful experience with you and your daughter playing your music. So we're just very happy with the skills that you have after your political life is over, that you can move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bowman.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, Brenda, thank you for everything that you've done. And I guess my memory of our friendship goes back to, I was still a college student at VCU. I was interning at the General Assembly, and you were working there, and then I remember the talent show that was held up there. And I knew Lindsay could sing, but then I got to see it in person, got to hear you sing for the first time. And just a talented family and a great family. And over the years, we've continued to cross paths in various things, and know how proud you are of Lindsay and everything she's doing in Nashville. And we're all proud of her, as someone from this area doing so well, and just everything that you've been involved with. And as Fred mentioned, being on RIFA with you and the work that we've done there. And I know some great things have happened, and some greater things are on the way that you've certainly had a hand in as well. And I know that you'll still be a big part of everything that's going on in this region. And I just want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda, thank you so very much. I've enjoyed working with you long before this last 4 years.
We go way back.
We go way back.
Back to my teen years, I think.
Matter of fact, I remember Lindsay singing at a very young age.
Back when you were doing things with, I guess, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
That's when the
Yeah.
Parks used to sing as a little one for you.
And then, of course, I've had the opportunity to work with your husband for many years at the National Guard Armory. But anyway, just want to thank you. I think our communication flow between the council and board supervisors have certainly been improved and rewarding, and we've enjoyed the joint meetings, and I think we got to know each other a little bit better, so thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. I didn't expect all that. I may get emotional. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Mr. Attorney? Clark? Oh. Can I propose a resolution, honorary resolution?
Sure you can.
All right, I would like to propose a resolution honoring Ms. Bowman, recognizing her good work and leadership, her cooperation with the City of Danville and the Council in areas of economic development and the betterment of the lifestyles of the citizens of Danville and Pittsylvania County. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Mason?
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh.
Aye.
Mayor Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman.
If you will give me that wording, we'll fix it up and actually put it on some official paper so that you can have that as a keepsake.
Very good. I will do so. Now we'll come to the communications from visitors. Citizens who desire to speak on matters not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Citizens who desire to speak on agenda items will ask them to wait until that agenda item is heard and considered. As per our rules adopted in January 2015, each individual speaker has 5 minutes of uninterrupted discussion. If they announce that they're here for a group and recognize that group ahead of time, they may have, if they're speaking for that group, they may have 10 minutes. Council will not engage in debate or argument at this time. If there are issues, we will refer them to the appropriate agency, such as the city manager, Parks and Rec, Police, Fire Department, etc. Are there persons who would like to speak at this time? Just please come forward and give us your name and address, sir.
My name's Tommy Goddard. I live in Danville.
Good.
I was here 2 months ago. I think some people took what I was trying to get to the point of the shootings and the gun violence in Danville, like I was saying it was a cover-up or y'all was responsible for it, but that was not the fact. I came hoping somebody would step forward to try to do something. Can't do nothing about it, but let the public know more about the shootings. When I was here 2 months ago, within 2 weeks, we had 3 other people shot. One was at a playground at 6 o'clock in the afternoon at a school, exactly 2 weeks from the time I was here. Now that was 2 months ago. Now in the last 10 days from today, you've had 3 people shot in the city of Danville. You had 4 drive-bys that shot up houses and 1 car shot up. And I don't know if everybody here knows, but 1 person died today. Well, died 2 days ago from one of the shootings, which was never known to happen. Only 1 of these shootings has made it to the newspaper. Only 4 has made it to the Danville police website. I'm not saying it's a cover-up. I'm just saying somebody needs to, you can't stop it, but let the public know about what's going on with the shootings, gun violence. And that's not including people pulling guns out on people. I mean, that happens a lot, but I'm talking about the ones where they're actually pulling the trigger. And that's just kind of where I'm hoping that somebody can figure out a way to let the public know. I know the Danville Police does have things where they can let the public know about certain things. They let know about the robberies and all. They let some of the shootings know. I understand that they said they don't want to let a lot of things out because there's ongoing investigations. But my opinion is that you can at least put it out there that it was a shooting on this road at this time or something like that. But once again, I just want it to be known that I do not think the city council or the police is trying to cover up anything. I understand that if the police can figure out who's doing something, they're going to get them. And they're going to make sure they pay. But the public just needs to know more about what's going on. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Larkin, we'll ask you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Mr. Shanks.
Thank you, Mr. Goddard, for being here and for bringing that up again. I've been kind of watching it closer since the last time you were here, and I've seen posts where, shootings have occurred. My question is, I'm trying to figure out, the information needs to get out. I'm trying to figure out whether it is an issue that it's not going through the normal process like everything else does on the police website, or whether the press is not picking it up and reporting it, the media. So if you could help me understand that a little better, because I know from what I've seen, the weekly publication of arrests and incidents is there.
Yes.
And is anything being omitted from that you're aware of?
I don't think they're getting omitted, but from what the answer I got was, if there's a drive-by and a house gets shot up and there's nobody to charge, or no, but there's gun shells and that kind of stuff, there's a case open, but there's no charge or anything like that. So you will not see that on that publication you're talking about. Now on the news, I've talked to Channel 7 and 13 about other things and about this, and they normally will not know unless somebody that was dealing with it, somebody that was involved, calls them or something like that. They don't know. Now at the Danville newspaper, I don't know. I'm not sure how that goes. But I mean, when the guy who died 2 days ago, there was 4 people shooting at that house. It's not in the newspaper.
Was that the shooting, one of the shootings on Friday night?
No, that was on 23rd on Chatham Avenue.
On what, Chatham?
On Chatham Avenue.
Right.
4 people shot at a house. And like I said, now, I didn't have no idea that somebody was shot during the time. So.
Skillstrap.
This is not my question, but
Sure.
Is that the incident where he refused to press charges against anyone, and he later, I think he died today? Is that correct?
No, he died 2 days ago, but actually.
Was that the one shot in the leg and went home? And
Yeah, was shot in the leg.
Well, if I understand that story correctly, he refused to say or press charges against anyone.
The reason why he's refusing to press charges at the time, because he was actually one, most likely, can't say it right now, he was one of the shooters that shot up the house.
Okay.
It was, because other neighbors.
That's not my question, that was just a comment.
Yeah.
My question to Ken.
But can I say this, Mr. Vice Mayor, I think we're probably going a little bit too far.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm not going further. I'm going to ask Ken. If each Friday we get a update, and in that update is a list of all the police incidents that occurred that way. I don't know about all, but all the major ones. Is that possible part to make that available to the media? Do they get it anyway?
I don't think they get it. That we need to discuss that, because sometimes there is some sensitive
I'm talking about the
information.
department by department
Yeah, but
update.
sometimes you all get some of the information that's sensitive and confidential.
But I think most of them are listed in there.
Yeah.
If we could get that information to the media, maybe we could get it to the public. I think you're right. Public needs to know.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Other comments from the public? Close the public hearing. Minutes. Consideration and approval of minutes from the regular council meeting held November 5th, 2015. Council. Mr. Buckner. Second? Mr. Raleigh. Roll call.
Mr. Gilstrap. Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh.
Aye.
Mayor Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
We'll proceed to the consent. The following amendments A through C are previously discussed by council, introduced for first reading. No separate discussion on these items, and they will be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by a council member or a citizen, the That item will be removed from the consent process and considered separately. Council, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move for adoption of ordinance A through C.
Do we have a second? Mr. Buckner. Any discussion? Council, go ahead, Mr. Massey.
Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh.
Aye.
Mayor Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogel.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Aye.
Appointments. Consideration of appointments to the following boards and commissions.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution appointing Frederick Meter as a member of the Building Code Board of Appeals, and appointing Jared White as a member of the Building Code Board of Appeals, a resolution reappointing Samuel Thomas as a member of the Building Code Board of Appeals, a resolution reappointing Gus Dyer III as a member of the Building Code Board of Appeals, a resolution appointing Gus Doliitis as a member of the Employee Retirement System, a resolution reappointing Crystal Farmer as a member of the Fair Housing Board, a resolution appointing David Totten as a member of the Fair Housing Board, a resolution reappointing Michael Scares as a member of the Planning Commission, and a resolution reappointing Robert Q. Jones as a member of the Planning Commission.
We have a second. Reverend Campbell. Mr. Massey.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh.
Aye.
Mayor Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogel.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Aye.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. Consideration adopting an ordinance to appropriate funds for litter control and recycling efforts. Do we have a motion? Mr. Gilstrap.
Mr. Mayor, I move adoption of ordinance amending the fiscal year 2016 budget appropriation ordinance to anticipate grant funds from the Commonwealth of Virginia for litter control and recycling efforts in the amount of $10,470 and appropriating same.
Second. Mayor Saunders. First reading. Consideration adopting ordinance to amend city code pertaining to food trucks. Mr. Buckner.
I make a motion that we approve an ordinance amending and reordaining section 15-1 entitled Definitions, amending and reordaining section 15-4 entitled Sale of Food from Vehicles Near Schools, reserving sections reserving sections 15 through 28 through 15 through 15-34, and ordaining a new Article 3 entitled Mobile Food Vending, and amending and reordering Section 26-1, peddling from vehicles on streets or public places.
Good job. We have a second. Discussion. Mr. Gilstrap.
On page 45, Clark, I will address this to you if I may. In your definition of mobile food unit, shall mean a motor vehicle used for vending to retail customers on city streets. And as part of this confusion is, this definition shall not include towed trailers or push carts. So most of the concession stands that I'm aware of in the city that are owned by citizens of Danville are towed to a location by a truck. Could you clarify that statement for me, please?
Well, I think what this is talking about is push carts and food trucks and not those concession stands. I think that would limit the ability of somebody who just has the traditional concession stand like you'd see outside of a ball game or you'd see out at the market from being able to be on the city streets. That doesn't prohibit them from being in parking lots.
If a concession stand that is towed by a truck would not be allowed
on the city streets, that's correct.
Street.
But that doesn't prohibit them from being in any kind of parking lot in which they're given permission to be in.
Okay, thank you.
Other discussion? Mr. Vogel.
Were you done, John?
Well, I guess my question is, you can't do a mobile food unit on any street where the speed limit exceeds 25 miles per hour. it's pretty limited. There's very few streets that are 20. That's going to be basically your business district. It's about it. But any of your other, I mean, they immediately, even on Industrial Avenue, jump up to 35 just around the curve. So I'm interpreting that to mean if it's 25 or less, they can. Over 25, they cannot.
Yes, sir, that's correct. I think that's a safety issue.
So Memorial Drive would be out, Goodyear Boulevard would be out, Craighead would be out, or most of Craighead. Industrial Avenue certainly out.
That's correct.
Okay. Just want a clarification.
Mr. Shanks.
Yeah, I had, I just wanted to confirm from either Ken Larkin or the city attorney, I knew what we agreed to in the work session, and I did not go through in detail what was written in this ordinance. Mr. Gilstrap mentioned something that sounded like it was exempting or not including push carts. Is that's still thoroughly the way we discussed?
No, push carts are included. What he was talking about is the folks that hook up a trailer to sell hot dogs and stuff like that to the back of a pickup truck.
I was referring to the section that he cited. And I just wanted to make sure, because we all had an understanding, and that's my interest in this, is push carts, not food trucks.
There are three definitions, and one of them is mobile food vendor, and that's like the truck, and then there's push carts, and mobile food unit includes both push carts and trucks. So carts would be allowed to be on Main Street, either on the sidewalk or in a parking space.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, and I appreciate you clarifying that. I support this, and my major support is for the push carts. I did want to say that I think it's going to be a mistake to include Main Street in this ordinance as a place for food trucks. Other than that, I support this ordinance wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Mr. Vogler.
Yeah, a goal of mine, and I know a goal of this council, has been making Danville a more business-friendly place, and a place where entrepreneurs are able to succeed and to operate. And with the issue of food trucks and food carts, a lot of us, we go to other places and other towns, large and small, and have noticed, it's a growing culture across this country, particularly amongst younger people. And so in Danville, you've noticed that we haven't had a lot of that, and it was because of the regulations, restrictions that were in place were so restrictive over the years that it wasn't conducive to having food trucks. And so there was an effort and reason why we looked into this to making it easier. And so I am supportive of this tonight, and I'm supportive of it on Main Street and Craighead and any street where they're able to do so. I understand the safety issue with the 25 mile per hour, and that may be something we want to go back and look at again later on after this is implemented. But I am supportive of this tonight. I think it's a step in the right direction towards giving more choices for our citizens and allowing folks to have an opportunity to operate a business here. Thank you.
Mr. Raleigh.
Yes, I will be voting for this, but I'm still concerned about our restaurateurs in Danville that have a stationary, fixed building that they work out of. They're kind of our nuts and bolts in what we do. I hope that we understand in this that after 6 months or after a year, we'll find out what's good and what's bad in this resolution, I think. I'm definitely going to support it, but I just want to make sure we're open down the road that we might have to make some changes. Thank you.
Mr. Gilstrap.
I too will support it, but I still think it's restrictive a little, that we probably could still loosen it up a little bit. But I would also like the city attorney to give me clarification on page 47, 15-41, authority. Does that mean, what are you saying the city manager can add or change the rules?
Yes, that's correct. additional rules. If something becomes a problem, the city manager would have the ability to create rules for the mobile food trucks until you all had the opportunity to get, to address the issue.
Mr. Jones?
No, I'm responding to Mrs. Shanks.
Well, I have a little concern there, but I still want to support it.
Shanks?
I do also have concern about that, and I understand why it's there. A lot of things, though, get with verbiage like that, and I'm not referring to any particular city manager, I'm just referring to the process, can get changed without council knowing it. So surely, if there's a change needed, the manager could make a change, but city council should adopt that change or vote on that change at some point if it involves something that we've already discussed or included in this ordinance. So I would favor language that would say the city manager shall be authorized upon notification of such action to city council to promulgate additional rules, terms, and conditions applicable to mobile food vending. So I would offer that as a substitute motion.
Do we have a second for that?
No, could you repeat that
Yes.
language?
The city manager shall be authorized to, upon notification of city council, promulgate additional rules, terms, and conditions applicable to mobile food vending. And that's only putting in, my intent is only to put in a notification, so if council needs to take action, they can take action.
I'll second that.
And I think that's just an amendment. I don't think it's necessarily a substitute motion.
Okay.
Amendment 10.
An amended motion.
We need to second the amendment.
I thought you did.
I did. Well, I substitute motion, but I will second the amendment also.
I have a comment and a question regarding, if that is the case, in other words, Fred, if I'm getting the intent right, then the city manager would still have to get consent of council to make any changes?
The intent here is for him to be able to make changes for immediate short term and notify council. If council so chooses to address that issue, they can. But they would be notified that the issue has been brought up and changed.
Okay, the reason why I asked is just say, would it be better just to strike it, but because if it's coming to council anyway, does it even need to be in there at all about the city manager?
That would be up to you all.
It would save somebody 60 days.
I think what that is, you point at me?
Well, if you still have, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what that's doing is giving the manager authority to immediately correct an issue that comes up if it needs immediately corrected.
To give more leeway or to cause more restrictions?
No, it gives him more leeway to immediately correct an action, but it still notifies council, and council can choose to react or not to react.
I support it.
Good with that? Mayor Saunders?
Mr. Shanks addressed the concern that I have. I understand we have a policy. It's pretty clearly written out. If the city manager notices an infraction and he or she has to address that, wouldn't the city manager have emergency powers to make a decision outside of council formal authorization in the event that there is some violation? Or is his or her hands tied until council meet formally to give them that authority?
Without this particular provision, his or her hands would be tied until council was able to meet and measure on the issue.
I really feel, Mr. Vice Mayor, that the city manager ought to have emergency powers.
Yes.
Okay. And we can address that issue at a subsequent meeting. So I understand council approving policy, but I still believe the manager needs emergency powers to act during the interim prior to some other modification by council.
Okay, so clarification, Mr. Shanks, your amendment would have still allow the city manager to do that.
Correct.
He notified council at that
It clearly gives him that authority.
Okay.
Save somebody 30 days.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr.
60 days.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think he is taking any authority away from the city manager. He just put clause in there that the city manager notifies us of that situation.
Absolutely.
He still has emergency power. My concern is, and most councilmen know, that certain staff have been accused of showing favoritism to either help or block certain things. I do not want us to be put in that position. I think that we should be, no excuses, that he's going to have to let us know if the rules change.
Okay.
He still can change them, but he just needs to let us know.
Other discussion on the amendment? Smart city manager will come to. Very good. So we've got a amendment and a second for the amendment of the original motion. Mr. Massey. This is voting on the amendment.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye. Now we'll go back to the original motion. And again, I want to thank council. We've put in a few hours on this food truck issue and at the work session. I want to thank everybody for everybody's input. And I think this will be an improvement to Danville. And we'll see how it goes. Do I have a motion as amended?
There was a motion.
Okay, so we're good. It's amended. All we have to do is vote.
That's correct.
Let's vote.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Consideration of authorizing a resolution to submit an application for a Tobacco Commission Economic Development Program. Mr. Vogler.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for the fiscal year 2016 Tobacco Commission Southside Economic Development Grant Program.
Do we have a second? Campbell. Discussion. Mr. Vogler.
Yeah, vocational education for long in this country was stigmatized, and particularly my generation, you grew up, you were told that vocational education was for those who, if you weren't going to go to college, you should get into vocational education. And I think that was a mistake. That's not true. And the fact of the matter is that machinists, which is what we're talking about tonight, a machining program, they make more money than most art history majors. And we've got too many kids coming out of college today with degrees that don't lead to jobs. So I strongly support this effort to bring DCC's highly touted precision machining program to George Washington High School. I think many students in our school system today aren't necessarily captivated by what we refer to as traditional education, but to have the ability to go to them with a program that says you can graduate high school with a certification making $18 an hour or more, that's a game changer. And then they have an opportunity to go to DCC to follow up for further certifications, make even more money than that. These types of programs will not only transform our region by creating a pipeline of a trained workforce, they have the ability to transform individual lives. And so this is something that I'm glad that we're discussing, I'm glad we're putting forward, and I support. These are changes that need to happen. They're not changes that's going to happen overnight, but in order for Danville to succeed in the 21st century economy, these are things that we need to do. So I'm glad we're doing it, and I support it. Thank you.
Other comments? Ms. Gilson.
I would ask whomever could answer. These kids that are graduating placed in the Danville area, or are these kids placed outside the Danville area? And then my second question would be, are they sufficient numbers of jobs to handle the, 50 graduates every 2 years?
You'll identify yourself for the public. We know who you are.
Sure. Telly Tucker, Director for Economic Development. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The first question, are the jobs available in Danville? Some of the students who will graduate and who have graduated from the program in the past have been placed in employment in Danville. Many of them have been placed in employment outside of Danville as well. A recent survey of the last 100 graduates, I think from the Danville Community College program, of those who are working outside of Danville, about 75 to 80% of them still live in this region, Danville, Pennsylvania County region, and they are commuting as far away as 75 miles away for work, but they choose to still live here. So I think the point is that there are positions available for folks who choose to make this region their home, and even if in the short term, if they have to drive outside of Danville to find employment, the ultimate goal is at some point in time, industry will locate within the region because of the prevalence and the availability of the talent that will be coming out of this program. There will be approximately, to your second question, I think there will be 20 graduates per year, some of which will move on to the community college and do further training. Some will enter the workforce immediately. Some will then proceed to the third year after the second year, and some will leave after the Danville Community College program.
So the young adults that are graduating, there are job opportunities in Danville that most of them could be employed in Danville?
I don't know that I could answer that question.
I get, well, let me ask you, make it simple. What opportunities are there in Danville for these graduates?
There's currently a poll with our existing manufacturers to look at over the next 5 years. It's being conducted by our chamber, both the Danville, Pittsylvania County Chamber, Martinsville Chamber, Halifax Chamber, to identify what positions are currently available and what will be available in the next 5 years. I can tell you that Danville Community College maintains an active list of folks who call and inquire about qualified machinists, many of whom come out of this program, and currently the demand is not being met. Now, that's not all Danville-centric companies. They have not separated Danville companies from those outside.
But there is a demand for EW students to go into this program.
There is a demand for certificated machinists, and the program, I guess the DCC program, does not have an adequate pipeline to fill all the positions that are available. So the intent of this program is to help build a pipeline that feeds into DCC, ultimately to fill the job opportunities. This initiative was created with the business in mind, as a business attraction strategy first. My responsibility as the Economic Development Director is to the businesses. The businesses shared with us that they could not find qualified machinists, and prospects asked about whether there was a qualified workforce, which was one of the first criteria they use in making a location decision. So as I see it, it's a win-win. We're making our region more attractive to prospects. We are then addressing an existing employment lack of supply, and then thirdly, we are providing opportunities for the students in the city of Danville. So I think there's 3 wins potentially here.
Mr. Boca. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Telly, thanks for coming up here, and you know, it's appropriate to have our economic development director up here because that's what this is about primarily, is economic development. And as you said, and again, maybe you want to elaborate more on, but when industries are looking to locate anywhere, but have told us specifically, they need that trained workforce and they need that pipeline. They're not going to locate somewhere and then say, okay, now you train the workforce. They're going to go somewhere where the workforce is ready to go. And if we don't have that, we're going to get left behind. We're not going to be able to attract the industries that folks want to come here unless we have that trained workforce. So maybe if you want to elaborate more on why it is important to not just, it's this immediate job placement, which again, and I think you might have mentioned, but those who are coming through this DCC program, it's 100% job placement. And what did you say, 75 to 80% are within the footprint of this region. So they're still staying in this area, even if they're commuting 60, 70 miles. And so, but this is about a long-term building a pipeline that's going to attract industries, correct?
Correct. The intent of the program is to develop a steady pipeline of qualified talent that we can use as a business attraction tool to attract new industry to Danville.
Thank you.
I guess, Telly, my concern is we're looking at investing $1.6 million. half of that's from the city. All but 50,000. I think 50,000 is coming from the schools and 800,000 from the city. And I don't look at this as any differently than kids going off to college and a lot not returning. I think it's good that we educate our youth wherever they get job placement. I just want to make sure the demand is there for the students. I hate to invest $1.6 million in a program and we don't have but 5 students at GW that are interested in the program. And then my second part of this is presently, it has been explained to me there are not any African Americans in the program. And with the GW population being 60–70%, and we don't have any African Americans interested in the program, where are we going to get our kids from?
I wasn't aware
From
that there
GW.
were-
I see that we'll help at DCC, but I don't know how we're going to help if there's not an interest in GW students, I don't know how we're going to assist them.
Vice Mayor,
Jones.
well, I want to thank you all because that was a concern for all of the students that I had, but you all resolved that today. Today, the council got an email, and it was confirmed that your committee, some persons from the city of Danville, went to George Washington High School, and they actually, and this is something that we don't do a lot of, and we need to do more of. They talk to the young people. And interim city manager can tell you, over 400 young people said that they were interested and became somewhat very excited about this program.
Okay.
So that was brilliant for over 400 young people. And so somebody did their homework. They went into the school system. They did exactly what Mr. Gilstrap stated before we voted on this tonight. They went into the school system and said, let's see how much interest is there. And over 400. And that's not including young people at Langston, young people at Galileo. This was just GW alone. So that says a whole lot. I will be supporting this. And thank you all for all that you've done, especially talking to the young people, asking them what is it that they want. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Other comments? Mr. James.
Mr. Tucker, thank you. A lot of the material you presented tonight's review from the last 2 work sessions we had, and I appreciate you repeating the information. I too, just like Mr. Riley in the work session and Mr. Gilstrap now, had some concerns. And it's a major undertaking that we're taking here, and there's certain things that we as business people and council members need to take the information and kind of digest it the best we can. And then there's still the prayer part. I think that the program at DCC has clearly demonstrated it's a great program. It's clearly demonstrated that there is far more demand than they have been able to put out. It has clearly demonstrated that the pay is way above a lot of things that are going on in Danville, very good pay. Some of the graduates are leaving the area and working for places like, some of the jet manufacturing businesses up around the Richmond area. But all this is all about trying to, one, as you said, educate our graduates, but also to build a workforce here for specialized industries. Now, what sold me, helped me get over a little bit of the concern was the ability for us, and I believe it has not changed, I believe it was actually confirmed, that we were able to possibly get some no interest loan money to help fund this program from its conception. So while low interest is not free money, it certainly makes it an easier pill to swallow. And I support this program. I have similar concerns, but by golly, we got to do something to build our workforce. And I think this is one of the best things we can do. Thank you.
Mayor Saunders. Yeah.
I appreciate the discussion regarding this program. I think it's an excellent opportunity for our city Pennsylvania County Schools have the program and it's working out very well. I also appreciate the concern expressed with regards to students, African Americans, and all students being involved in the program. I appreciate that. I also appreciate staff, our city staff, school staff, talking to kids at GW, Mr. Jones just mentioned. There's no question in my mind that this would be a positive move for our city. I know that every graduate in this program have a job. The day they leave, actually before they leave, they have a job. And the job starts at a minimum about $40,000 a year. $40,000 for a 21, 22-year-old, that's good money. It's good money for anyone, for that matter. I also know that the employers are saying that they will hire everyone that graduates, and they can't get them fast enough. I'm also aware, but I can't go into details, that a company has come to Danville a couple of times because they heard about this program here in Danville. So it is getting national and, yes, international attention. We hope that people graduate and find a job here. But we have to bring the job here for them to get the job here when they graduate. The pipeline, I've been assured by DCC, Danville Public Schools, the pipeline is there. Not only do we have students now ready to go into the program, but there's a pipeline promoting people, preparing people to get into the next section for the program. Not just in the 9th, 10th, 11th grade, but early on. So I think it's an investment. We have several options on how we can pay for this. I think it would be a mistake if we don't approve it. We have raised some good points, and I'm sure staff is taking notes of this and will be addressing these as well. But I think it would be a mistake not to support this project. It would be a mistake to lose the opportunities that are out there, and people are looking at Danville because they heard about Danville Community College and the program they have with Pennsylvania County Schools, and hopefully with Danville Public Schools. So I think all the positive indicators are there, and I think it is a very, very good investment for our city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Reverend Campbell, do you have?
Yes, I just want to say briefly that I will support this. I've heard two comments of some of the citizens in the community spoke to me why we should not vote for this. And one of them, Councilman Jones, brought that out, that it is a need. They were saying that they felt it was not a need or would not get the support of the students to enroll. That clarified that. My question to you, Mr. Teller, is the other comment is, are we buying equipment that will very, very soon be outdated with new technology coming in for this $1.6 million investment? How far of the game are we prepared, or are we getting the right equipment? Should we look at 3D? Are we prepared for the future that is coming?
Understanding is the equipment that's being purchased is the latest Haas 5-axis CNC machinery. The same machinery that's being used on the floors of many advanced manufacturers in the automobile and aerospace industries today. So my understanding, it is the latest technology. I don't know that anyone has the answer of how long that will be before it becomes obsolete. As new technologies develop, obviously new machining will be available, but my understanding is the machinery that will be placed in GW High School will be the most modern machinery that's used on the floors of many advanced manufacturers today.
I think it's so important that we prepare our young people for the work of today and tomorrow. I would definitely have my vote. Thank you so much,
Mr. Raleigh.
Mr. Tucker, two questions. One, the Tobacco Commission grant. What ties do we have with that grant? Do we normally, those grants come with some kind of performance, and we usually back that. I haven't seen that information yet.
This particular grant is does not have a clawback or performance agreement other than we are required to make a one-to-one match, and we are required to show evidence of that one-to-one match. The asset will be owned by the city. The equipment will be owned by the city.
Okay.
The allocation that it comes from is from the South Side Grant allocation, which is money that's earmarked by the Tobacco Commission for the city of Danville and their economic development priorities. So it's not a situation of a clawback where we would be required to pay that back for lack of performance.
No clawback, and we own the equipment.
Correct.
Public schools own the equipment.
Correct.
Second thing, I know they have this program in the county, but I don't know much about it. Do you know if the county has certain criteria for students to get into the program?
Yes, they do. Students typically need to have above average math, science skills, and there are prerequisites. It's a competitive process to get into the program, and the students that are chosen do go through a competitive process to be chosen for the program.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vogt. Yeah, just one last thing, real quick, Telly. You talk about, for those who weren't privy to the work sessions, how this recruitment process is going to begin in the early stages so that students know as middle school, or just elaborate on how that recruitment process is.
Sure. Actually, students are being observed now even in early as the 5th grade and middle school through programs like the STEM Academy. They are the programs, the stat that we mentioned earlier about the 400 students that were mentioned, the program was mentioned to at GW High School, were all sophomores. As the program ramps up, there are conversations about taking DCC instructors and students to the schools to talk to them so that they can hear directly from the students and they can hear from the DCC instructors. And there's also conversations about having that happen at the middle school level as well. As opportunities, I think many of the opportunities that are available are not known to students today. Most students don't have an idea in high school what they want to do, and so this is designed to give them exposure to a skill set that will provide a very good living for them and their families. And the exposure in the high school, I think, will do that both in the 11th and 12th grade year, not to mention the fact that they'll earn about $6,000 worth of college credit at no cost to them.
I think it's a tremendous thing what we're doing. I think it's got a very positive impact on this city and on this region. Thank you again, Telly. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
I certainly think we need to have a prepared workforce. I'm 100% behind that, and I'm glad to know that there's a demand for it. Presently in the DCC program, do you have any idea what percentage of those students are from Danville?
We have requested that information. The actual precision machining staff does not track that, so we've contacted the administrative office of DCC to ask how many of those students are from Danville, and so we will certainly provide that information.
If we invest this money, will our students have a first priority at DCC?
I can't speak for DCC's selection criteria. Currently, DCC has 2 cohorts. They have a morning and then an afternoon. Dr. Bruce Sissom, in the actual application that we submitted to the Tobacco Commission, it talks about the escalation plan in creating an evening and a weekend cohort. So there's some capacity. Right now, there's no capacity during the daytime hours, which is why we need to create a feeder program in the high school. However, as the high schools essentially replace the 2 years of high school will replace 1 year, full year of community college. Once that happens and you have adequate number of students entering DCC, the need for the second year program will be greater, and that's where DCC sees the growth in the capacity for evening.
So to begin, all the students from GW, it's not automatic that they would be admitted to DCC program.
If right now there's capacity
Can we
to
not
accept.
tie a partnership in there so that our students would have some guarantee that they would be accepted into the program?
There's capacity to accept the 20 graduates per year currently into DCC.
Okay.
Those who choose to go in the workforce, obviously, all of them may not choose to move on in the second year, but currently there.
Okay, thanks.
Vice Mayor. Yes, ma'am. I'd like to thank Mr. Gilstrap for that question. Excellent question. It's my understanding that this would be a partnership with the Danville Public School System and Danville Community College.
That's correct.
Then that partnership should guarantee Danville Public School students enrollment in the program. Is that correct?
Well, that was my question.
Excellent question. I would be surprised if they don't get first priority, and certainly some guarantee, because they're putting, the school system putting money into this as well, as the council, as the back commission, et cetera. But it's a partnership, Danville Public Schools, Danville Community College, supported by Danville City Council and the school system. To me, that should guarantee some slots, some seats, some enrollments for Danville Public School students.
Mr. Mayor,
That's how I feel about it.
I can't say that there's not a guarantee.
I understand.
I confirm that.
I just want to go on the record saying that there ought to be. Thank you.
I'll certainly share that with.
Question, if they're accepted into the program at GW in their junior year, doesn't that automatically guarantee they go through the whole program?
Yeah.
Don't they get a position? I mean, they should.
My understanding does not.
Thank you for the question.
Well, we need that answer.
The capacity.
To me, it looks like a no-brainer. If you're in the program, as a junior and senior, you ought to, you get the credit, then you ought to go straight to DCC.
I'll answer it. There have not been any students turned away from the second-year program to date, nor in the foreseeable future are there going to be any capacity issues for accepting students who want to go into the second-year program. That was communicated very clearly in the application. They did not use the word guarantee, however, but I will certainly get that question answered by Dr. Sisson.
Thank you. Other comments, Mr. Shank?
Yes, I hate to be the bad apple here, but I think that's that answer needs to be known and in writing before we act, I believe. And believe me, I'm totally supportive, but I don't know, there's some school board members here. I don't know if anybody has that answer. But, and I don't want to say these 20 people that come out of GW should necessarily get the position. They've got to be well-performing. Of the 20, they need to be well-performing. They shouldn't be taken away. If they're not well-performing, they shouldn't be taken away a position from someone that is capable. However, I think there should be some understanding that if you're in Danville Public Schools and you perform well in this program, you're guaranteed this position. Can you help me, Dr. Jones?
Good evening. I'm happy to speak to it. Thank you very much. Currently, the school division has dual enrollment partnerships with Danville Community College, and contingent upon a student being successful based on prerequisites and meeting the required performance standards for the program, they're admitted to DCC. So it's really a question that, as long as the student performs as they should, they'll be admitted.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
As a priority.
As a priority. And I think given the capacity issues that Telly spoke to, I mean, I think there's going to be more opportunity than we can anticipate in terms of a pipeline. So again, I'll just remind the council that we currently have dual enrollment partnership with Danville Community College. So this is no different in terms of what we're already doing when we have students that matriculate from the high school and enter other programs at DCC. Does that make sense?
It does, and
Okay.
you've answered, but I still have that slight concern that going forward at some point. In other words, we're getting ready to make a major investment. I would like that little knot to be tied.
Well, again, I can't speak on behalf of Dr. Sisson, but I don't anticipate that that's going to be an issue, given the fact that their need is greater than the opportunities we're providing currently. So I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't be a guarantee.
Mr. Raleigh, do you have a question? Mr. Raleigh, you have?
Danville Community College has open enrollment. Anybody that goes gets in. I mean, it's no.
Well, there are some.
But when you're talking about this program here, they've got way more capacity than 20 students coming from GW, and I don't know how many's coming out of the county. Matter of fact, I guarantee you, the way they're building that program up, they'd like to see 40 a year come out.
Well,
because they got the
DCC has
capacity.
some general admissions criteria, but our students are going to exceed that in terms of this program.
Right.
But there are some general admissions criteria that just for a student to be in dual enrollment, there's some general admissions criteria. Students are tested before they're
For
admitted.
dual enrollment, yes.
Before they're admitted, they're tested.
So will this interfere with any of the present I'm sorry,
Mr. Gilson.
Or Vice Mayor. Will this interfere with any of the present programs going on? Do we still have Cisco? Is that still ongoing?
It will enhance our current offerings. It only adds to what we're already at present. So it won't compete,
I'm sorry, pardon?
I said it doesn't compete, it enhances our current offerings.
Okay.
Other questions of Mr. Tucker or Dr. Jones? Thank you. Okay. I'll just I want to make a comment here, last comment, I guess. In my generation growing up, the same thing. Everybody was expected to go to college. If you didn't go to college, you were looked down upon. So that didn't change in years. This time we need to change that. Mm-hmm. I think this is a chicken and egg thing. You know, do you develop your industry? Do you put down a pad? Do you put a building down and attract the industry and then let them get the workforce? Or do you bring in the workforce, train your workforce to attract the industry? Well, things have changed. When I first came on council, our emphasis was on get a pad, get a building, attract somebody. When they got here, we'll say, we'll get you a workforce. It probably doesn't work very well because everybody has a building. Every community has a building. Every building, they have space. They have a place they can put an industry. But every community doesn't have a workforce. And that's what this program does. It's a quantum leap forward. So we've got to develop our workforce if we're going to attract the industry. But at the same time, we have to be going forth, attracting industries, and giving them space to live here. And telling them, hey, your workforce is being developed, we'll have it ready for you. So I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, but you got to do both. So this is a great program. This has the potential. It's a game changer. So I'm fully behind this. Have been from the beginning. And the question of African Americans, are they capable at GW of going into this program? Well, I give you Thomas Day of Milton, a master cabinet maker. I give you Booker T. Washington, inventor extraordinaire. I give you a young man on Paxton Street who I met campaigning. He didn't have a job, but he was doing woodworking and building cabinets and doing metalworking on his front porch. So there's plenty of African Americans who will qualify for this program, will be interested. We just need to promote the program for all races. So, gentlemen, stay the course. And we need to stay the course. Thank you. Can we have we've had a motion, we've discussed. Can we have a vote?
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
All right. We come to the end here. I think we have. Roll call. Do we miss it?
Communications.
What?
Communications. City Manager.
I'm sorry, what? Did I miss one?
Communications from the City Manager.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said, communications, roll call. City Manager. Assistant, interim City Manager.
Yes, I'd like to express my gratitude to each of you for having confidence in my ability to work with you to serve the citizens of our city during this transition. While you continue to search for the next city manager, you can be assured that the city will continue to strive toward excellence in all areas of service. We are fortunate to have very good department heads and employees who are working for the best interests of our community, and I look forward to working with council and staff to meet the challenges ahead. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Attorney.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Not even about the Redskins taking over first place?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Mason.
Nothing, sir.
Call the roll.
Mr. Buckner?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that came out and supported and participated in No Shave November this year. It was another great year, another great event. Next year will be bigger and better, guaranteed. There's a lot of great things going on this holiday season as well. This Saturday from 4 to 6, there's a big event down at the JTI Fountain. I hope you guys all can make that. Sunday, the Christmas parade starting at 3 p.m. Next Friday night is the Luminary Walk. There's also Light Up the Park is going on, I'm pretty sure, most of the month. Be sure you check out all these things in the area. It's a great thing. There's a lot of exciting things going on here in our city and in our river district and our local parks. That's all tonight. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
Reverend Campbell?
Yes, I just want to ditto what Councilman Butler just said, but I want to see some of our young people out in the audience. I think they're from Tunstall. I was glad to have the youth here with us to learn more about the political process, and just hope everybody have a wonderful time at the parade this coming Sunday.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Yes, I too would like to thank everyone, and I would like to thank for clarification of all my questions of the invited guest and the topics on the agenda. What high school, what school are the youth representing?
Tunstall.
Tunstall. Welcome, glad to have you, and go Tigers.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Vice Mayor both, I want to thank two of the school board members, Sharon Dones and Renee Hughes, who invited Councilman Gilstrap and myself to tour George Washington High School along them last Tuesday. A few years ago, I introduced a plan that was proposed, the same type of collaboration that was called WISE, Working Innovatively in Support of Education. Mr. Gilstrap and I were not trying to interfere with the responsibilities of the school board, nor were we trying to micromanage. That invitation meant much. However, what we observed and what I observed was most disturbing as a parent, a councilman, a citizen, and a champion for our young people. I'm concerned for all of our students feeling safe and receiving a quality education in an environment that is conducive to learning. Since our tour, I have discussed with the school board members the possibility of Langston's, along with Mr. Gilstrap, serving as a third high school and reopening Woodrow Wilson as an alternative school. I know the decision to close the schools were not hastily made. However, I would like to hear in detail what it would take for this to be considered. I want to thank Mr. Superintendent for being here, also Stephen, school board member, for being here. This really touched Mr. Gilstrap and I a lot. You'll be hearing, and Mayor and Vice Mayor, I'd be willing to talk to City Council about our tour in a work session real soon. I want to also say, lastly, I'd like to say to our former city manager, Joe King, that I appreciate his dedication to the city and wish him an enjoyable and restful retirement. And to Ken, I want to say congratulations on your new appointment. Lastly, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Vice Mayor, there's a young man who was in our city. He was coming to city council all the time. He called himself Mr. Danville. I'm happy to report that Quanell Totten is here, and he's now back working in Danville, Virginia, attending city council meetings. Quanell, it's good to see you, and welcome back to Danville. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Mr. Raleigh?
Welcome, Tunstall High School students. I hope we didn't bore you too much tonight. Dr. Miller, thank you for our goodie bag. I'm looking forward to the work session to open it up. I like Councilman Jones. Just want to thank Joe King for a great career and service to the citizens of Danville. And Ken, we're glad to have you as interim. Thank you.
Mayor Saunders?
I'd like to thank the Vice Mayor for chairing tonight's meeting. Really appreciate that. Also, thank you for the trail mix, our annual Christmas gift as well. And special thanks to Mr. Joe King for his years of service to our city, and I certainly hope he enjoys his retirement. Mr. Larkin, congratulations, welcome aboard. And I hope that people will come out not just this weekend for all the Christmas events in our city, but there are many, many events throughout the entire month. So I hope people will get into the spirit, enjoy themselves, and enjoy your families. But more importantly, to kick that off, please come out Saturday to the fountain event that Mr. Buckner talked about, and then to the parade Sunday, and more events this year as well. So thank you so very much.
Mr. Shanks?
I too would like to say a special thank you to Joe King, who served the city for so long, not just as the city manager, but also as the utility director for years, or actually he was, his special title was assistant city manager in charge of utilities or something. It was, but that utility department is a huge operation, and Joe did a good job of running that prior to his term as city manager. And Joe King has done an awful lot for our city. His footprint will be forever visible in our downtown and our river district and many other programs that he was involved with here in the city. Ken, I look forward to working with you in the months and weeks and years, whatever to come. I too have been sitting on the sideline kind of reading and watching reaction to certain things with our school system. I've stayed out of the dialogue, and I do, if council needs to take a position, I think we need to have a thorough discussion amongst ourselves. I have concerns about opening another school when we're 20, 30, 40 positions unfilled right now, and our budget is certainly been proven by the school system to be very, very, very tight for the past several years. And I'm still a little unclear as to what role Langston is playing in our city school system. So before we have too much discussion about, if it's council's decision to have a discussion, I hope we have a clear discussion before the school board takes any action that they believe council is in support of. Finally, I'd just like to say that it was good to see, always good to see the students come into our chambers and watch a meeting, listen to a meeting. It's, I'd like to say welcome to the Tunstall students and thank you for being here. Thank you.
Mr. Vogler?
Yeah, I too want to thank Joe King for his years of service to the city and wish him well in his retirement. Michelle Bush is here tonight, and she has a page on Facebook called Embracing Danville's Positives, and if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I'd highly suggest that you do. There's a lot of good things happening in our city, and sometimes they fall through the cracks, and so social media has been able to help highlight some of these things, and this is a page that helps achieve that, and so I'd encourage folks to go check that out. It's called Embracing Danville's Positives, and thank you for being here tonight. I also want to thank Dr. Jones and Stephen Gould from the school board who are here tonight, and for Dr. Jones coming up and answering questions, and has been mentioned by other council members, issues that have been publicized here recently regarding GW. I know each and every one of us here is concerned about it and has been following it and having discussions with school board members. And I know typically every year we do meet with the school board at least 2 or 3 times to go over the budget. I'm hopeful that maybe we can meet a little bit earlier this time around in the process, and maybe we can start that discussion later tonight about when we can have a meeting between the 2 joint bodies here soon to not only discuss issues with GW but our school system as a whole. I think it is important that everything that we do, we can do a super job down here on everything and do everything perfect, and it would not matter if our young people are not receiving a quality education in our school system in a safe environment. And I know that is something that we are all concerned about and all want to have happen. So that is important that we meet and talk about. We work together and find solutions to this because it's a serious issue, and I know our citizens are concerned about it, and they should be, and we are as well. And I want them to know that we do take this serious, and I know the school board does too. So I hope that we can meet soon and talk about these issues and find a way forward. I do want to mention the Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast is this Saturday morning, and if you know anyone that's a Kiwanis member, me or anyone else, if you want to get tickets for that, there's still some available. Kiwanis does a lot of great work throughout the year in education and many other programs, and this is a fundraiser that helps go towards that. Tickets are only $5, so I'd encourage folks to come check that out if you're able. And has been mentioned, the Christmas on the Plaza and the Christmas Parade are both also this weekend. The Holiday Light Show will be starting soon at Blue Park, and one of the things folks can look forward to seeing this year is the iconic Dan River letters, the HOME, the home from the old Home of the Dan River Fabrics sign, will be on display during the Holiday Light Show at Blue Park this year. A group that I was fortunate enough to be a part of helped kind of bring this about, and also when it's done in the Holiday Light Show, we'll be moving downtown at the location where the downtowner was. It'll be there on display for 6 months. They're going to light it up with the old neon lighting, and that's something I know a lot of folks are looking forward to seeing, an adaptive reuse of those iconic letters. But you can get kind of a preview of it at the Holiday Light Show this year. A private group worked together to make this happen, and worked with Parks and Rec and other departments to bring it about. And so the Holiday Light Show we look forward to this year. And just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Well, thank you, Tunstall, for coming. If you need us to sign your programs or let you know, prove you were here, come up afterwards. We'll be glad to. Mayor, although you were late, I did save you some Chex Mix. My wife has spent the last several days producing mass quantities of that and trying to keep me out of it. But we have some for you as well. I wasn't supposed to give her credit, but I got to give her credit. On Saturday, the community Christmas party from 8 to 2. That's something you need to go to. Crafts, wreaths, they make wreaths you can buy, candies, food. It's really a good event, and I can tell you, I went to the one a couple of weeks ago, the holiday one, and I got there at 9 o'clock, and I had a heck of a time trying to find a parking place. So if you want to go to this on Saturday, you better get there at 8 o'clock or before. And the Christmas on the Plaza from 4 to 6 on Saturday, the Christmas parade. There's a lot going on this weekend. It's going to be hard to get to everything. Again, thank you all for coming, and thank you for the good discussion, gentlemen. Other comments, and we'll adjourn.